In alphabetical order. People I've met. Artists. Non-artists. My best friends, people I love. People I admire. There has been a change in our relationship of late. This book of mine is partly real facts and partly fantasy. The real fact is that I love lists of names, card indexes, retrieval information systems, that sort of things. No wonder I have an archive at home, the Other Books and So archive, which includes a collection of artist books. Karel Balf, Perception of the Line. Helen Chadwick and David Mayer, Door to Door. Paul van Dyk, Turning Over a Sheet. Roy Grayson, Painting Book. J. H. Kochman, Capillarity Book. Barry McCallion, She Describes Infinity. Endre Toth, The States of Zero. G.D. Vallock, See page 13. I am not a book collector. The books in the archive are those I've been given by their makers. The collection has grown because I've met personally quite a number of artists and printers here or while traveling abroad. And also because, in the mid-70s, I opened in Amsterdam the first gallery ever specialized in artist books, Other Books and So, later to become the Other Books and So archive. Vincenzo Akame, Story. Jorge Caraballo, Art History in Latin America. José Luis Castillejo, The Book of the Letter. Sylvie de Frauy, El Tango. David Det Thompson, quote O. Tadeo Yunges, Surubá. Regina Silveira, Brazil Today. In March 1975, 3 weeks before opening of the books and so, I sent more than 1,000 letters asking artists, writers, and publishers to send books. I didn't include any precise definition of the works I was interested in. I only said I wanted, quote, the sort of books that you make, end quote. A few days later, packages started arriving from North and South America, from Western and Eastern Europe, from Japan and from Australia. Friedrich Achleiner, Square Study. Mirella Bentivoglio, Itinerary. Agnes Dennis, Map Projections. Team Head, Reconstruction. François Morellet, 90 Degrees. Bruno Munari, Quadrat Print. Tom Ockersey, The AZ Book. Telfestokes passage. Not every book I receive becomes part of the archive. Only real artist books or documents related to artist books are kept here. Artists also produce catalogs and books which are completely traditional, but this archive is not the place for them. Unless these books represent specific and discernible comments on books in general, like Andy Warhol's novel, or like some exceptional catalogs that function as authentic artist books. Roberto Altman, Hypergraphic Gesture. Dennis Craig, Paginations. Helgi Fridjonsson, a dressed-up chair and a narrator. Andy Patton, The Real Glasses I Wear. Edward Rouchet, Untitled. Álvaro de Sá, 12 by 9. Shinkichi Tajiri, Catalog. Andy Warhol, A. Among the many sorts of publications by artists, the only genre implying an essential renewal for art and for books is the so-called bookworks. For an artist's book to be a bookwork, it is essential that it looks and functions like an ordinary book. That means no unusual size, no extravagant materials, no eccentric context. Polar Mangette, The Beach. Niels Lomholt, Mr. Klein. Neil Mills, Number Poems. Maurizio Nanucci, M40. Ben Porter, The Manhattan Telephone Book. Athena Tacha, Heredity Study Number 1. Fred Truck, Tangerine Universe. Paul Tselewansky, The Book of Takes. The very ordinariness of bookworks guarantees their place in the general context of culture, that is, of art. A specialized art context becomes then irrelevant, or at most, anecdotic. The most direct way of achieving ordinariness is to mimic any well-known genre of ordinary book in form and content. TV guides, elementary school manuals, intimate diaries, telephone books, etc., etc., etc. TV Guide by Kevin Atherton. Elementary School Book by Eugenia Balcells. Postage Stamps Album by Anna Banana. Passport by Claudio Goulart. Fairy Tale by Richard Hartwell. Services Program by Les Levine. Road Maps book by Harry Metzler. Coloring book by Opal Nations. Sales Catalog by Paul Rutkowski. Telephone book by Isvan Sirani. People often ask, if an artist's book must look like an ordinary book in order to reach the supreme status of bookwork, how can you then tell the difference between ordinary books and bookworks? Well, bookworks only look ordinary. They are not. They are intended to create specific rhythms of looking, specific conditions of reading. And here is where the old sanctuaries of art, like galleries, museums, etc., have a role to play. Jiri Kolar, Poem R. Jim Melchert, Autobiography. Peter Moll, The Three Pyramids of Breda. Joan Palau, 33333 Francisco Pino, Window Ode. Dieter Roth, Book 3b and Book 3d. Gudrun Tryggvadottir, Like a Pocketbook. There's no real place for Bookworks in bookshops. There's no real place for Bookworks in libraries. Not because booksellers and librarians are reactionary, are they? But because of all sorts of reasons. One book may be too small, another too fragile, another too expensive, or even too cheap. Another may be hard to find, or too poorly bound, or it could have a text in an unknown language. Another book could be suspected of pornography, or nonsense, or could be badly printed, or maybe the artist stinks. Really, I don't want to dramatize the point. The fact is that, whereas bookshops and libraries remain firmly closed, galleries, museums, and the like sometimes open their doors. Johan Cornelissen, still an hour to go before we arrive in Milano. Helen Douglas, Threats. Nicola Frangione, Cupboard and Workshop. Dieter Hagenbach, A House. Jaroslav Kozlowski, Lesson. Jan Vos, Untitled. Some artists, including some of those who produce bookworks, never set foot in a bookshop. This might be a healthy attitude, but they are all aware, they must be all aware of books, and they refer to them in their works. This happens in all sorts of ways, from recycling mass-produced paperbacks to exploiting to the extreme the possibilities offered by various reproduction techniques. Theresa Cha, Absence Presence. Peter Greenham, Redbury Court. Franz Imos, carbon copy. John Lyons and Phil Zimmerman, spine. Glaucomatoso, foldable newspaper. John Murphy, selected works. Pavel Petash, 10 theses. Tim Ulrichs. If you cancel all the text, this is a Tim Ulrichs book for counting pages. Artists' publishing activities include more than simply Bookworks. I don't mean so-called object books or linguistic multiples. They don't necessarily imply any particular printing technique. What I mean is that artists, besides publishing bookworks, also make newspapers, postcard wallets, playing card sets, magazines, assemblies, collections of essays, etc. A selection which only includes bookworks, like this one, is both limited in scope and quite arbitrary. Juan Agius, 20F. Robin Crozier, Portrait of Robin Crozier. Henryk Gajewski, Elisa Gajewski. Alex Heibel, Book Object. Suzanne Lacey, Travels with Mona. A selection which only includes bookworks may at first seem limited in scope, but in reality it has great significance. Because in order to present only bookworks, we have been forced to exclude a lot of artists' books which don't embody a statement on books in general. And that was the point of the exercise, the reason for books to be made by artists in the first place. Sigurdur Gudmundsson, Journey Book. Sanja Ivekovic, Double Life. John Liggins, Errors. Lech Mrosek, Calendar. I firmly believe that every book that now exists will eventually disappear. And I see here no reason for lamentation. Like any other living organism, books will grow, multiply, change color, and eventually die. At the moment, bookworks represent the final phase of this irrevocable process. Libraries, museums, archives are the perfect cemeteries for books. Angelica Blisse, Who's Who Number 1. Yayam Breakwell, Diary Extracts. Guglielmo Achille Cavellini, Relics. Hansik Gebert, Holidays at Home. Dorothy Iannone, The Berlin Beauties. At Geretsen, The Possibilities of Objectivity. Christian Gudmundsson, Once Around the Sun. Why should an artist open a gallery? Why should he keep an archive? Because I believe art as a practice has been superseded by a more complex, more rigorous, and richer practice, culture. We've reached a privileged historical moment when keeping an archive can be an artwork.